Welcome to Give Me Hope with your host and author, Johanna. Come join the conversation as Johanna focuses on sharing impactful personal narratives of loss. Her platform provides a safe space for individuals to express themselves, find comfort, and build connections as they navigate their grief journey. So now, please welcome the host of Give Me Hope, Johanna.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Give Me Hope with Johanna on Bold Brave Television. If you are missing our show today, you are welcome to watch it on YouTube, Facebook, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all major platforms that you can think of. The title for today's show is Finding New Footing. And I would like to speak about the pivotal moment that sparked my ambition to write my book, Life Think Again. It came from a deep and personal disclosure. I possessed a narrative that maybe can inspire other people and uplift them, and maybe they have endured similar hardships like mine. The heartbreaking loss of my entire family was a devastating chapter in my life, and even that plunged me into a profound abyss of sorrow and overwhelming grief. However, as I navigated my difficult path of healing and embarked on my journey of self discovery, I came to understand the transformative power deep rooted in sharing my story with others. I realized that by opening up about my experiences, each memory burdened with pain, yet also ultimately give hope to others. I could connect with others who were grappling with their own struggles. This urge to eliminate the darkness with my words became not just a personal mission, but a beacon for those seeking solace and understanding in their own journey. I firmly believe that implementation of one's ideas can lead to the achievement of any other objective one set for oneself. Today, I will be speaking to Caitlyn Nell. She's 27 years old and recently married. She has spent working 4 years at a medical reception for a psychiatrist. Her journey through loss began when she was only 11 years old when she lost her grandfather to cancer. Not long after that, 5 years later, Caitlyn lost her father in 2014 when he died in a motorbike accident. She was only 16 years at that time. His absence profoundly impacted her, especially on significant days like when she turned 21 or on her wedding day that was just the other day, May 3rd, 2025. Caitlyn also battles with chronic kidney disease, stage 3A. He was diagnosed in 2017 after years and years of health issues. As a daddy's little girl, she relied on her father to comfort her during those hospital visits, and his loss left her really with a big heartache. Despite this all, her incredible mother has provided unwavering support and helped Caitlyn to maintain her faith and resilience through all her challenges. So let's welcome Caitlyn Nell today.
Hello, how are
Hello,
you?
Caitlyn. Very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes. You just told me that you are so sorry that you're sitting in a car because you're at the hospital with your sister. I'm sorry
Yes,
to
that's
hear that.
correct. Thank you very much.
Well, first, before we start with all the discussions, maybe just introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Who is Caitlyn?
Well, I'm like you said, I'm 27. I work for a psychiatrist at the moment, but quite the bubbly, quirky type of person.
I can definitely see that in you.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I got into the reception game is I very much enjoy interacting with people.
Oh, that's very nice to hear. That's very nice to hear. Well, let's get to your story. You lost your grandfather when you were only 11 years old. Tell me how that impacted you as a 11-year-old, and how did you came to understand death?
Well, obviously at that age, I was not, if I may say, fully experiencing the loss or understanding the full extent of loss. I was in grade 5 at that time, and as an 11-year-old, you think, okay, people just get sick and then they're going to get better. Nothing's going to happen. So that was my very first experience with a loss of a loved one, someone that was close to me. So even though you don't fully understand it, if you think back now as an adult and things, it's quite scary watching somebody deteriorate, unfortunately, with the cancer. But there's always life lessons that I'll have from my grandfather, although I didn't get to spend as much time with him as I would have loved to. But there are still very important lessons that you can take from the time that we did have together.
Yes. Do you remember anything from your grandfather that you really liked?
Oh, one thing I always think of when I think of Opa is the fact on a Sunday you would always find him in a smart button-up shirt, shorts, and these church shoes and socks on still. That was his Sunday afternoon outfits.
Yes, and just so that our listeners know that Caitlyn is also South African, so the word Opa means grandfather, just so that the listeners know when you said Opa. Okay,
So
and I believe that he was also a pastor.
yes, I come from a rather good lineage of pastors. So my grandfather on both my mom's side as well as my dad's side, they were all three pastors.
Wow, that is amazing to hear. So they definitely kept you on a straight path.
Very much so. I was truly blessed to be able to grow up as it would be said, a preacher's kid.
Yes, yes. Tell me, is your grandmother still alive?
Yes, my grandmother on my mom's side is still alive. Unfortunately, my grandmother on my dad's side passed in 2021.
Okay. And you've got a good relationship now with your grandmother. It's nice to have a
Ye-
grandparent in your life when you're still this age, and just getting married. And grandbabies might come soon, and then you're going to make her a
Yes,
great grandmommy.
yes, yep. We might add to it.
Speaking about your grandfather, any other thoughts that you maybe have of your grandfather?
He was a very avid rummy player. So
Okay.
there was
Hard.
obviously a lot of time spent while he was sick. We would play games together. Just to pass time for him. And one thing is, he taught me how to play rummy, and I think I played rummy until it came out of my ears.
Wow. I remember the time when my parents also played cards. It was really just a thing that was, people just played cards in the olden days. And now all they do is they on their phones play games. Okay,
Technology,
well,
definitely.
yes. Well, let's talk about your health issues. You said that you have kidney disease.
That's correct. I've got chronic kidney disease, but I was also born with one kidney. So I've got one kidney and it's also not functioning properly at the same time. So I obviously, as growing up, I was in and out of hospital quite often with different infections and things. And the doctors at one stage thought that perhaps my kidney on the right side, on the left side, sorry, was just not functioning because when they did a sonar, there was a shadow of a kidney that side. But then when they did a scope, there was absolutely nothing on that side. And that's when we discovered that I was actually born with one. But it wasn't until 2017 that I was given the full diagnosis of chronic kidney disease. So it was quite a shock to the system at that stage. I actually didn't want to speak about it at all. I felt quite it was very overwhelming and things like that at that stage. So, and again, amazing support from my mom. She's the only reason I kept my head about me and the reason that I'm still somewhat sane now.
Yes. So, are you on a donor list for a kidney, or um, are you in that stage already?
Not for me at this point. My function would have to drop a bit more. But obviously I can look at the option of doing a donor, like a live donor, if I wanted to before the time, because unfortunately my next step for me would be dialysis.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about that. Let's go on to a little bit more happy thoughts. I believe that you got married recently.
Yeah. So just over a month ago, on the 3rd of May.
Congratulations,
Thank you
Mrs.
very much.
Nell. Uh, how did the wedding go? And I'm sure you missed your dad on that day.
Definitely. Well, it's not just on the day. It's obviously all the processes leading up to the wedding as well. Certain decisions that you would make, song choices, dress choices. When I went dress shopping, I always wanted my dad to be part of that. You wonder what would his thoughts be on the dress and the venue, and what would it have been like to have him walk you down the aisle, and all those little things. And like, my mom chose a song for me. What would his song choice have been? So there's a
Yes.
lot of little pieces that add up as to missing him. It's not just one specific day, it was the whole process for me.
Oh. Well, I'm sure everything was quite beautiful, and I wish we had a photo to show the viewers. But we do have a photo of you when you were younger. If we can
Yeah,
show that to the viewers,
the, the
and then
the
you
the
can tell
back
us
to
what day
the
that was. Why were you looking so beautiful?
that was actually for a wedding that I went to. So there I was all dressed up. It was actually my sister's wedding.
Okay. And how old were you at that time?
It was last year, so I was 26. So it's about a year
Okay.
ago.
Wow. Wow. Well, that is amazing. But not to have a parent at your wedding is really not something any of us would like. Would you like to
No.
tell us a little bit about your dad when he was still alive?
Well, I was a daddy's girl, full on. Everything was with daddy, around daddy. From a very young age, I was the blue-eyed girl. I was a miracle baby. Lots and lots of fun together. Uh, uh, that was still in our old house, that photo. And I was probably in primary school at that stage, if I'm not
Ah,
mistaken, with very bad hair days. I
yes.
have permanently had an attitude attached to my head at that stage. But like I say, my dad was also a pastor. So he was obviously very influential in my faith growing up. He was my confidant. I would tell him anything and everything. He always had the right way to speak to me and the right answers for me. And obviously with me being sick, no one was allowed to touch me. No bloods, no drips, nothing without daddy there to hold my hand. So in that sense, I guess I've also had to learn a lot, because with the chronic kidney disease, I've obviously got to go for my fair share of tests and things, which unfortunately I don't have my dad around for anymore. So I can't say no more bloods until daddy's here. So I've obviously had to adapt in that sense as well. But he was very big personality, very loud. My mom always says I'm very much got my dad's personality. He also had a love for bikes. So even when he was younger, then for many years, obviously he never had a bike. And then we got him one, which is unfortunately the one where he was killed on it. But having his bike back was very freeing for him. He absolutely loved it. There was never a time he wouldn't want to ride it, even in the rain. We had him in a rain suit.
Oh, that is such a nice story. It's always nice to remember your dad. If I think back and I have to just remember my dad was also the first person who died in my life. I don't know if you know, but I did lose 6 people: my mom, dad, 3 sisters, and my brother already in one lifetime. But my dad, he was also a pastor. He was also preaching Sundays in church, and we used to play the guitar and sing songs, on stage, and just worship God. And it was just so amazing to have my dad in my life as well. And I can just imagine with you as well, to not have your dad in your life. So you say your dad died in a motor. Welcome back. And we were speaking to Caitlyn, and Caitlyn was just about to tell us about how her father passed away with a motorbike accident. So would you like to tell us what happened? You did not expect anything. Your dad went to work.
No. Yes, so he was on his way to go help out at a hardware store, and it was actually sort of December school holidays for me. It was just after we had finished writing the exam. So in South Africa, you got like that time period where you finish writing exams, but school's not technically closed yet, but everyone kind of stays at home. So it was the 4th of December, 2014. And my dad always had a habit of sending a good morning message to myself, my brother, my sister, and my mom. And I was still sleeping when my mom came and woke me up. It was rather abrupt. And she said to me, something is not right. Daddy hasn't sent a message yet and she can't get hold of him. So we tried to phone the work. to find out if he was there yet, but he hadn't arrived yet. So we were like, okay, obviously this is a little odd, not in his usual behavior, because by that time he was at work. It was just after 7, and we actually got a phone call from my uncle. He had come back from working on a site, and he rode past the accident itself. And he ended up phoning and saying, don't leave the house, don't go looking for my dad, don't let my mom leave the house. So obviously I was up in a flash. I was dressed and ready in 5 minutes, which we all know is quite impossible for us ladies. But yeah, so then my dad was a policeman as well, and all the years you were told if somebody comes to the house, it's usually bearing bad
Good
news.
news.
And yeah, they said a chaplain was on their way, and you hear these things often, but it does not really register with you when you're in that moment. So we were like,
And
okay,
you
we're
don't think
waiting
that
for
these things
somebody to
will
come.
really happen to you. And also, just
Yeah.
to make it clear for our viewers, because you are in South Africa, and December, we have winter here in America. And I live in Minnesota where we have snow, for instance. And in South Africa, there's not really much snow. So people ride with motorbikes, and it is summertime in December.
Yeah.
So, yes, continue with your story. I'm just clearing up so people know.
So then we were waiting around, and we eventually got someone. My sister was at work. She had come through, and we obviously had at that time my brother lives in Durban, and he happened to be in Joburg for one of his courses and things like that while he was busy working. He had a apprenticeship type thing. So luckily he was also in the area when we got the call, and then there was a
Oh,
chaplain that came to the house and obviously gave us the news, which just didn't seem real at all, because they started bringing back some of my dad's items. He always had a backpack on him, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with his backpack. They brought his wedding ring, not a scratch. Even his glasses, there was absolutely nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them. And I think one of the harder parts for me was the fact that with it being an accident and things, obviously you got to go through a whole bunch of processes. We didn't get to see him for a week. So it was
did they say what happened with the accident?
he was busy at an intersection. He was going to be turning to his right, and a taxi jumped the robot and hit him straight on. And they say that he did die on impact.
And if anybody knows the traffic in South Africa, nobody
Yeah.
follows any rules,
No, they don't.
especially taxi drivers.
Yes, yeah, they've got a
Wow.
whole mind of their own. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I am very sorry to hear about that. So you said that for a while there, you couldn't even see your dad. You couldn't go and recognize your dad or tell. Okay, they knew that it was your dad, but I mean, you couldn't even go look at his body.
Yeah, so my brother went to identify my dad. And then we only got to see him the Thursday after the accident, which was just before the funeral as well. So it was bittersweet in certain senses, because when I went back to school the following year, my dad had said to me that I would be on the top 10. And I was like, no, no, there's no way this is going to happen. And true as nannies, I was on the top 10. So it was yeah, it was like
Wow.
bittersweet when they said so, because it was he said he called it, but he wasn't around to see it anymore.
Yes, especially when you are doing well in your life, and you want that person's saying, I'm so proud of you. And especially if you are daddy's little girl,
Yeah.
and he always spoiled you, and he's not there now to see all these nice things happening, then it is
Mm.
definitely not nice. And yes, you can continue with the story.
Yeah, so like you were saying, it was very difficult not having him there for me. Even if you pass by the skin of your teeth, he would be absolutely proud of you. There was never any judgment when it came to my dad. He was super, super supportive. And yeah, I mean, even when I did my studying further, um, and I know he would have been super, super proud of that. And that's another thing that you get to miss out on. And it's like, even meeting my husband and things, you would like to know what would be his perspective on it. Would they have gotten along? Those types of things, which just seems insignificant, but they add up. They definitely do add up.
Definitely, definitely, Um, well, that is an amazing story, and it's not, how can I say, it's not amazing in the aspect of, wow, someone's dad died, but the fact that we are here telling our stories to the world, and
Mm.
sharing our heartbreak with the world can uplift other people and see how strong you are. Because if I look at you, Caitlin, you are a strong woman. You don't let your illness get you down, and you don't let your heartache get you down either. You look at the positive things in life. And I think it is because your father have taught you so many good values through church and your faith. Um,
And
Tell us a little bit about your mother, because you said your mother has been really a strong pillar in your life. And now that your dad is not there, now you must be mommy's little girl.
I definitely, I won't say I ever had a bad relationship with my mother, but ever since my dad's accident, we've grown incredibly close. It's not even two peas in a pod. We're a basket. We are interweaved. So,
Oh, it's amazing.
yeah, no, my mom is absolutely awesome. I can never ever ask for a better mom. I know I sound a bit cheesy, but it's true. She's genuinely been there. She's the glue that has held not only me, but I would think my through all the ups and downs that we've gone through. Um, she looked after my grandfather while he was sick, um, as well. So from the beginning, from my first loss till now, she's just been there through it all. When I got my diagnosis, my feet were hit out from under me, and I didn't know where to look. I questioned so many things, because when I was 11, my dad and my sorry, I was a bit younger because it was before my grandfather passed. They had fasted and prayed, and they prayed for me, and I never went to hospital again for those issues. So obviously, when I got the diagnosis in 2017, it felt kind of like my blessings and my healing had gone when my dad passed. And luckily, God sent me the perfect mother. She was there to encourage me, to remind me where my footing should be, where it is. And she patched up the holes that were there, and she laid new foundation, and I was back on solid ground again. Could never have
Yes.
done it without her.
Well, I hope your mother is watching, and I am very happy to hear that she's such an amazing mother. And Caitlin, if you can tell us, so uh, they allowed you to see your dad after a while?
Yes, it was after a week that we got to view the body before the funeral.
Okay. Okay. And then after that, how did you manage with grief? If you can tell people out there, how can one manage with that kind of loss? How did you manage? Tell us a little about that.
Well, personally, for me, it was very much a support system. I am very blessed to have a very close knit family. So, with all of us, we were able to be open with each other. If someone needed a cuddle, we were all there to cuddle. If somebody felt like they needed to cry for that moment, then we let them cry. So it's very much for me how I cope with anything difficult is to verbalize. I need to speak about it. I need to cry about it to per se get it out of my system. So for me, it was very much having a great support system. My sister, I have a big sister, I have a big brother, I have my mom, I had Oma there, I had, my uncles. So there was a lot of people that was around us and surrounded us through that whole process and that difficult time for us. I think that's what made the biggest difference for us.
It definitely makes a difference when you still have that people who cared so much about that person who's also lost, and to have them be around you and just think about all those memories and supporting each other. I firmly believe that people need to speak up more. I was quiet for a very long time, and I held most of my heartaches inside myself. And then the moment came where I started to open up. And look at me now. I have lost 6 people, and
Mm,
I think, a strong individual who now just want to inspire other people to also live their life to their fullest. And if I hear stories like yours, and what the support system can do for a person to just uplift them and make them stronger and make them want to say, I want to live my life to the fullest, because my dad wouldn't want me to be sad for the rest of my life. And my grandfather has installed great values in my dad that my dad installed in me again. And then you carry those values with you in life, and you make a good life for yourself like you are doing at this moment. I am so happy to
mm.
see that you're so strong, and with your sickness and your health and everything, still motivated. So tell us, what was your dad's name and what was your grandfather's names?
Well, my grandfather was Adolf, so very much a German side of the family. And then
Adolf.
my dad is, yeah, Adolf. And then my dad is Alan, which I know is quite commonly a surname, but his
Say again?
was a name. Alan.
Alan. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Very nice. Short and sweet.
very. 5 letters, short and impact, just very much like his personality. It was a nice, short, quick punch.
Yes. Well, I believe that you are at the hospital, and I hope that your sister, if she is watching, that we here at Give Me Hope with Johanna wants to just say, I hope that she gets better soon,
Thank you
and we
very
send our
much.
regards. Yes. Well, anything else that you would like to tell us about your wedding day and your husband? And what do you see yourself in the future? Where do you see yourself?
Well, unfortunately, my wedding had a few hiccups. Where I was supposed to set up, because we got married outside by the Vol Dam, and
Oh,
with
nice.
all the rain that we had, my area where I originally wanted to set up was completely flooded. So we had to somewhat relocate a little bit off to the side of where we originally wanted to set up, and the ground was a little bit soft. We were actually a little worried because it was quite cold the night before the wedding. So we were like, oh goodness, please don't let it be freezing on the day. Otherwise, we're all going to die, because we had short sleeves. So luckily,
You
it was
know,
not that cold.
I always see on Facebook how everybody in South Africa say, "Oh, we pray for rain, we pray for rain," and then when that rain comes, then it
It was just a little bit too much. Too many praise
ah,
words.
ay ay ay. Well, Caitlyn, thank you so much for joining us today on Give Me Hope with Johanna. And may God bless you for many more years to come. And may He keep you strong and healthy so that you can enjoy your life with your new husband and be a good sister for your big sister and be a good daughter for your mother. And may you all just live happily ever after.
Thank you
Well,
very much, and thank you for having me as well.
you are very welcome. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm sure that it would give our listeners a little bit of hope for themselves, because we all are stuck somewhere in our lives where we feel like life cannot go on anymore. But listening to stories like yours definitely inspire people and me to say, well, let's take over the world. Let's go enjoy this day today. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Caitlin. I really appreciate the time with you, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was Caitlin Nell, and what an amazing young woman. She still has so much in front of her to live for, and a new life with her husband, and maybe giving grandma a baby or two in the near future. Well, both my book QR codes are right there. And if you would like to read my book, Life Think Again, which is the story of how I have lost my entire family through different situations, you are welcome to scan the pink barcode on that side. And if you have any difficulties of navigating through losses and grief, and you feel that you need that support system, but there's no one around, then you are very welcome to get my navigating through losses and grief book right there on the blue QR code. Well, next week we will speak to a very interesting man. We will speak to Sergeant William Stevens, the voice of the voiceless. And I am looking forward to hearing his amazing story. We will be back next week with Give Me Hope with Johanna. I am Johanna Vendal, and thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you next week.
This has been Give Me Hope with your host, Johanna Vendel. Join Johanna each week and harness the transformative power of storytelling to facilitate healing and growth